Okay, so let me just move this a little bit so that I can see just the chat box. So we're continuing on with combining like terms today. I didn't want to move on to distribution because I felt like we needed one more day of combining like terms because we're having a little bit of trouble. And I completely understand why we're having trouble because it's not easy to learn this whole section virtually, and that's okay. But you need to make sure that you are asking for help. So necesitan asegurarse que cuando están teniendo dificultades están pidiendo ayuda. Porque yo no soy adivina y no puedo decir, oh, yo sé quién necesita y quién no necesita ayuda. So let's go ahead and look at our positive and negative number rule. So we're going way back to when we were in number sense, when we were looking at integers. Remember, integers, like we've been seeing, are whole numbers that are positive or negative. That doesn't mean that that's all we will be seeing, but we will be seeing whole numbers for right now. Remember, these rules also apply to rational numbers like fractions and decimals. So please make sure you're writing these rules down in your notebook for today. Remember that a positive plus a positive equals a positive. So that we should know. Nobody had any trouble adding a positive and a positive number. That was easy. Where we had some trouble was where we ran into a negative and a negative number. Remember, when you have a negative plus a negative number, it is going to equal a negative number. You're adding them together and it's making a bigger negative number. When you have two negatives, you're not subtracting anything. And then our last one is when you have a positive and a negative number. It's going to take the sign of the larger number. But remember, it's not just taking the sign of the larger number. Notice here how you end up subtracting. So we're going to look at those drawings today. We're going to kind of do our little circles today to help us out. Remember, when you have negatives, you have them kind of filled in. We have 5 negative and we have 3 positive, and it creates 0 pairs and it leaves us with a negative 2. So we're going to kind of bring that in today to kind of help us out. So I'm going to give you about a minute to write these down in your notebook if you have not already, but you do need to make sure you have them with you. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our first problem. Oops, wrong one. So it says drag the images to identify the like terms. So notice how I changed things around a little bit. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. And you guys are also going to be doing this for your classwork today. So I would recommend that you write an example down in your notebook so that later you aren't confused as to what you need to do. So remember how all these days I've been showing you to draw a shape around like terms. Well, I included the shapes on the side. That way all you have to do is kind of drag and drop them. Make it just a little bit easier. So we have 12r minus 8 minus 12. So I have 12r, so I'm going to use the very first shape. 12r is all by itself. There is no other term with an r in it. So 12r is by itself. Then I have minus 8. So 8 is a constant all by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in a circle. And then I have minus 12. So minus 8 and minus 12 would be like terms because they are both just whole numbers. So now I'm going to go ahead and solve it. So I'm not going to rewrite it because it's already written where I have my like terms together. But if my like terms were not together, then I would rewrite it. So 12r, there is nothing I can do with my 12r. So I'm going to go ahead and come back down to the bottom, and I'm going to write 12r because that term is simplified. So now I'm going to do negative 8 minus 12. So remember, when we did our rules, we saw that if we have a negative and a negative, it gives us a negative. Now remember, I have a negative 8 minus 12. That also means negative 8 plus negative 12. And if you have a calculator with you, and I'll show you what I mean by that, I can just do calculator and I put in negative, oops, I put in the wrong one first, negative 8 minus 12, and that'll help me figure out my answer. So notice that it gives me negative 20. Is it okay to use your calculator? Yes, it is perfectly fine to use your calculator. So notice that that gives us negative 20. If I had not used my calculator and I was just doing my drawings, I would have negative 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then because I don't have any positives, I would do 12 more negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now, I can't make any zero pairs because they are all negative. So if I count them all up, it gives me negative 20. So I combine those and it gives me minus 20. So my simplified expression is 12r minus 20. What I noticed on yesterday's classwork was that some people were just rewriting this expression. They were rewriting it with the terms that were alike next to each other. That's not what we want to do. You need to simplify it. So let's go ahead and look at another problem. And I want you to take a second. I want you to, on your computer screens, I want you to go ahead and drag over images around like terms. Use your square, your circle, and your triangle if you need it, because there's only, you may not need all three of those shapes to put around your like terms. So go ahead and take about 30 seconds. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what I would do. So I have 12x plus x minus 3x plus 7 plus 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put shapes around my like terms. So 12x plus x and minus x are all like terms because they all have, you have to go to lesson slides, Ruby, because they all have the variable x in there. Then plus 7 and plus 2 are also like terms because they are both just the number. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve. So 12x plus x. So for those of you that feel more comfortable doing drawings, for my 12x, I would probably do, I'm going to do my 12x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I did this one, plus x, I'm going to add one more x. Now minus 3. That means I'm going to take away 3. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm left with 10x. If I was using my calculator, I would pull it up here and I would go, okay, so I have 12 plus x, and remember in front of that x is an invisible 1, so I would do plus 1, and then minus 3x would be minus 3, and again it would give me 10. So this is also a good way to check your answer. So 10x, and then it says plus 7 plus 2. So 7 plus 2 should be simple. So 7 plus 2 more gives me 9. So I would do 10x plus 9. So that would be my simplified expression. Now, if I'm not sure, if I need to check, again, I can just pull up my calculator and put 7 plus 2 equals 9. Hold on a second, guys. I'm getting a message from a parent really quick. Okay, so our simplified expression is 10x plus 9. So let me go ahead and stop a second because I know Ruby was looking for it. Ruby, were you able to find the lesson slides? Give me a little yes or no in the chat box, please. Okay, so let's look at this next one. So it says drag the images, just like the last one, you're going to drag over those shapes to identify like terms. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this one. So notice this one has X, it has Y, and it also has a whole number by itself. So that means I'm going to have 3 different sets. So let me show you what I mean by that. So I would do 7x So x's are going to be in the square, and then I have minus 7x, and then I have plus 7y, so the y's are going to go in the circle, and the y's are going to go in the circle. So notice that I'm including the plus or the minus sign inside my shape. And then last but not least, I have my triangle, and I'm going to put that in there. Does it fit? No, it doesn't, so I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. So I have 3 sets of like terms. So I'm going to rewrite it. So I have 7x minus 7x plus 7y plus 8y plus 12. So 7x minus 7x. Again, I can either use drawings. So for my drawings, I would do 7x. I'm going to do 7x's, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, minus 7x. Okay, so now I'm going to take away 7x's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm left with how many x's? I'm not talking to myself. How many x's am I left with? I'm left with 0. So I'm just going to put a little 0 down here so that I know what's going on. So I have that part done. Now I have plus 7y. So I have 7 y's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then it says plus 8. So I'm going to do 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I'm going to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm left with your speaker's on. So I'm left with 15y and plus 12. There's nothing for me to do with that plus 12, so I'm going to go ahead and just do plus 12. So if I had done that with my calculator and I start with 7x minus 7, so I'm coming back here. Remember, I can do 7 minus 7, and it gives me 0. So is that right? Yes. Then I would do 7 plus 8. 7 plus 8 gives me 15. That is correct. And then I'm not going to do plus 12 because I can't do anything with it. So when I go to write my simplified expression, I'm not going to put that 0. So all I'm going to do is 15y plus 12. And I am finished. So now you guys are going to go ahead and have a chance to do this one. I want you to start by putting those shapes around like terms and start solving. And then I'm going to call on some people to give me answers and help me work it out. So go ahead and take about a minute and a half. Yeah, you're so silly. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at that first step. So I'm going to kind of work through what you should have done so far. So we have 13x minus 5x minus 4y plus 15 plus 3 minus 2x. So I'm going to go ahead and drag over my shapes. So my x's are going to be my squares. How do I know which shape goes with which variable? You just choose one, but make sure it's the same one for every variable. So if I'm going to do squares for my x's, then it's going to be squares for all my x's. I can't do a square and a circle and a triangle because then that'll be more confusing. So 13x, then I have minus 5x, and last but not least, minus 2x. So now I'm going to put a circle around my y. I have minus 4y, and that is the only y that I have. And a triangle around my whole number. So yes, it does not cover the whole number. It is okay. So plus 15 and plus 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and rewrite. You should have had this done already. So I have 13x minus 5x minus 2x. Then I have minus 4y. And finally, plus 15 plus 3. And I just did them in different colors so that you can see the difference between all my different terms. So I have 13x minus 5x minus 2. So again, I can do my shape or my x's. I have 13 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I did my 13x minus 5. So now I need to, what does minus 5 mean? What am I going to do when it says minus 5? Am I going to add more or take some away? I'm going to subtract. Perfect. So I'm taking away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. So I took that one away. But now it says minus 2x. So what else do I have to do now? And now I have to take away 2 more. So 1, 2. So now when I count what I have left, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x. Now, that 4y, that minus 4y, what am I doing with it? Okay, I just rewrite it, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and do, I'm going to bring it right back down, minus 4y. Now here is where I'm seeing the first problem. I'm seeing people that instead of bringing it down with that minus, you're changing it to plus. No, if you're going to bring it down, you need to bring the whole thing down. You're not changing the subtraction to addition unless you added or subtracted something and that's what it gave you. If you're bringing it down the same, it comes down the same. So now let's look at that 15 plus 3. We should all know what that gives us. What is 15 plus 3? 18. So I'm going to do plus 18. And this is my simplified expression. I have 6x minus 4y plus 18. Now again, for my calculator checkers, what could I have done using my calculator? For my 13, I could have done 13 minus 5x, so minus 5. I know the calculator doesn't have x. It's okay. We're just putting in the numbers. Minus 5, minus 2. So we're checking what we got. 6. That was correct. I don't have to check my 4y, but I can check my 15 plus 3, which gave me 18. So my answer is correct. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to do this final problem. It is your exit ticket. Use your shapes around like terms, and I want you to simplify. Once you are finished with that, you can go ahead and start your classwork. Your classwork is going to look just like what we did for our lesson today with the shapes and everything. Remember, if you need help, make sure to let me know. I will go over the classwork when I see that the majority of you are done with your lesson slide exit ticket.